makes others go along with gang stalking? No identity. That's the number one reason why a person would choose to gang stalk you with someone else. No identity. They don't have a voice of their own. And they despise the fact that you have one. No identity. They all think the same. They all do the same. They have to do things in proximity of others. Think about it. Think about the people that link up against you to gang stalk you. How they often look for others to validate them. They never have a say so their whole life. No identity. Don't know how to speak up for themselves unless it's somebody else speaking up for them. The second reason is they despise you. So if the mission is to humiliate and destroy you, they'll gang up purposely because they don't like you either. Most of the time is they envy because you have identity. They envy because you can set healthy boundaries. They envy the fact that you are vocalized about your concerns. So it's two reasons. No identity, a lack of identity, and the second reason, they don't like you either. And we want to destroy you. Yes, it's weird that family can be jealous of you, but we have to understand they're people too. They're no better than the stranger that doesn't like you. We just have to look at them from a different perspective. Not looking at them as family and them being there for you. We have to start looking at them for people and how their behaviors and characteristics do not align with what you hope for. Why does my family still make me feel that I'm the problem even after I've explained to them the concerns and they refuse to change, but they always blame me? There's an understanding that comes with I have to accept them for who they are, and that's the biggest challenge when you're trying to navigate from such toxic dynamics. The reason why you stay stuck so long is because you're trying to get them to accept the new you when truthfully they don't want to accept the new you because they can't control the new you. That's the problem. That's a situation that we can't fix. There was a lot of triangulation going on in your childhood where your mother probably influenced a lot of this triangulation. And the reason why I said she probably influenced a lot of this triangulation, because on her dying bed, she tells you, I'm so sorry I put you through this. It's great that you're telling me you're sorry on your way out of here. More guilt and shame. All of the questions, all of the answers that you have and that you're left to deal with has come rushing in like a wave. And now she's gone, leaving you here to deal with this. My goodness. And not only that, the legacy of toxicity that lingers. Not just confusion between you and your mother, but confusion in the whole entire family. That is a tactic, a golden tactic of a narcissistic person. I'm going to create chaos in your life. I'm going to create confusion in your life. And then I'm going to get others to go against you for the fact of, I may despise you, or I have a difficult relationship with you, or I can't control you. That's classic. All of this has been well orchestrated. Before death and now in death and after death. And one of the things that you have to stop doing is over-explaining yourself, expecting people to understand your level of trauma. But that's very common when, again, your identity is enmeshed with people you thought had your best interests. It's very common because, again, my voice has been minimized. So they speak for me through your whole life because you've been conditioned by your families that if you go seek help, you're crazy. If you take antidepressant medication or psychotropic medication, you're crazy. Because most of the time, the people that are telling you these things, that you're crazy for taking medication, you're crazy for going to therapy, they've never done any of these things to better themselves. They've never stepped foot in a therapy session. They've never taken an antidepressant medication just to regulate their emotional irregulation. In this case, the chemical imbalancement that has you always in anxiety, in depression. But if you were taught in your family, we keep all our problems to ourselves, and you're crazy for going to get help, you will rob yourself the opportunity to live and only stay stuck existing off of what they have told you. Stop listening to the people who've never even partaked in things that will help you become your better self. They've never been to therapy. People stay in toxic circumstances so long, longer than expected, due to the fact they're waiting on people to see them for who they are. If you don't get up and get out of there, if you don't leave that situation when people have shown you for 5, 10, 20 years that they're not going to change, I'm here to tell you as a therapist, it's time for you to move. But you'll stay. You'll stay. And you've been trained to stay. Understand, toxic is toxic, and dysfunctionalism is dysfunctionalism. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And if they're showing up in that way, now it's time for you to make a decision of what you will and will not tolerate in, here's the key word, your life. Your life. Okay? When you pick yourself, when you choose yourself, without the arguing, over-explaining, they will become upset with you for separating from the toxic, dysfunctional family. That is a natural response when you decide to pick you and choose you versus them and how it's always been. They will become upset. They will retaliate. There'll probably be some smear campaigns. There will probably also be some humiliation tactics to have others in alliance with what they feel about you and how they feel about you, because truthfully, it's all about control. This is what they will do. Just because you went no contact does not alleviate the pain that you have experienced that came from your narcissistic family or dysfunctional family. The no contact is the first step toward healing from such toxic dynamics, including dysfunctional family, narcissistic parents. So many people think that in them going no contact, their life will be easier without them doing the reparenting. That's the initiative that you have to take to bet on yourself to reparent the little you. There's no point in you continuing to explain to flying monkeys and other people who are in alliance with the narcissistic dominant person about why you went no contact. That has to stop. Not just explain yourself to the person that you went no contact with, but the over-explaining to others who's associated with the dominant narcissistic person as to why you went no contact. That's also a tactic to have you confused in the choice that you made to separate from that dominant narcissistic person. You can't expect people to understand the things that you have went through despite of what they believe. Let them believe what they believe. How many of you have been in situations of such where I had to explain to others? What do I mean by that? Explaining to a relative because the narcissistic person have called them and told them she doesn't talk to me anymore. That's a tactic. And now you're explaining to a relative, an aunt or a cousin as to why you don't talk to your mother anymore when they have been sent on a secret agenda to gaslight you, to have you self-doubting, and to bait you back in. that controlling dynamic situation or environment to link you back to that toxic, narcissistic person all the time. I'm going to send somebody. Well, y'all just need to get along. And y'all just got to work that out. Those are some of the things they will say when the agenda has been sent. Because gaslighting provokes self-doubt. Gaslighting provokes self-doubt. So when you're being gaslit, not just by the narcissistic person in your life, the people that they send to continue the gaslighting, to make you feel that you made a bad choice for going no contact, it invokes self-doubt. It provokes the self-doubt and have you challenging the idea of you going back, or even the idea if you made the right choice. How do they push the narcissistic's agenda when you're over explaining yourself to others why you went no contact? You over explain to people who was sent by them to influence their agenda. The agenda is to keep you confused. The agenda is to keep you doubting yourself. The agenda is to create fear in you that you won't make it without them. The agenda is to bring you back in, to bait you back in into that controlling, toxic, dysfunctional dynamic you had with that narcissistic, dominant person in your life. But this is where the twist comes in. You don't see the agenda. And for that, we miss it every time. Over explaining to people, trying to get them to see why you chose you. That's a narcissistic tactic. And they will send other people to do the job to get you all confused based on the choice in you making in going no contact with them. That's a narcissistic tactic. It's classic. And what do you normally do? You start explaining yourself to these people. And when you start explaining yourself to these people, you're so in the mindset of trying to get someone to believe you. When truthfully, all that matters is if you believe you. That's it. But because of that lack of validation, you will continue to explain yourself, expecting people to validate. And normally, they don't validate. They invalidate your feelings and push the ego of the narcissistic person. People feel that you are indebted to them when you become successful in life. That whole structural foundation, we need money. Western Union, me please. Take over your space, preoccupy your space. It's all about them. Your success is their success. You're talking about entitled. You taking care of the whole village. You don't have an identity. You don't have an identity. A secret meeting has taken place that the narcissistic person sent to investigate why you went no contact with them. A secret meeting has taken place between the narcissistic person and the person that they're using to investigate why you went no contact with them. And there's no genuineness with that, because off of the disposition of the person that they sent, the dialogue, the conversation, and the conversations normally go as such. Why you're not talking to your mother? Why you're not talking to your father? You all need to work that out. You know it's just your mother. Never validating your reasonings and your emotions, totally overlooking your reasoning and to why you went no contact, with the objective and the agenda to perform a full investigation with the hopes that the gaslighting will work to bring you back into that toxic dynamic. And normally how the conversation goes, you're over explaining why you made a choice. And all of that is a part of the tactic. The person that they sent doesn't care about what you feel. They're on assignment. They start to see how better your life has become without them, and that makes them more upset. Because the mindset of a narcissistic person is, you'll never do better without me. They really believe that narrative. You'll never make it without me. And when you were in relations with them or in connection with them, they often would tell you, how are you going to make it without me? You think you'll survive? You think you can go on life without me? Only to realize that you're making it after going no contact. That makes them so envious and jealous. And that's where the smear campaigns intensify. That's where the humiliation tactics intensify. Out of spite that you are really living without me. Not existing, that you're living without me. And that can't be. Because no one lives without the narcissistic person. This is their perception. If they give me something, there's always an ulterior motive behind it with a narcissistic person. They give you food, they pay a bill, they help you out in a time of need. It always comes along with an ulterior motive. You will hear of those things that they have done for you. They will make sure you remember those things that they have done for you. It's never just from a kind gesture. Because I'm also using that for control and manipulation and dominancy over your life. Because I want to let you know you need me. I want you to know that I helped you and you needed me. So what are you going to do for me in return of that favor? It's always an ulterior motive. Nothing is never free or from a kind gesture. Nothing. It comes with a price. And you're going to pay that price. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but you're going to pay that price. So we have to be conscientious of the tactics. I still have a chance. I still have a little control. So you got to think the way they think. They don't think like, oh, that's just a kind gesture. A family member was sent by the dominant narcissistic person to see why they're no longer talking to the person they went no contact with. So they'll send someone in as a gaslighting tactic to observe your movement, even to gauge your healing and to question your healing, to question the idea of you maintaining this no contact. And that's where those conversations will happen. And at the end of the conversation, you're left feeling so confused, guilty, and shameful for making a choice that considered you for the first time. In that instance, they made it about them again. And if you're not aware of that tactic, it will have you even contemplating the little healing that you've done. It'll send you back into an emotional whirlwind of confusion, of shame and doubt, of guilt. And truthfully, that's the goal of the narcissistic person. They're still having control, even in you going no contact. That's why I said, be mindful of that tactic and stop over-explaining or trying to find justification in a choice that you made in choosing yourself. They didn't send an aunt, a close family friend, the narcissistic person's best friend who's been knowing you from childhood to intervene in a dynamic that has nothing to do with them. All for the sake of the narcissistic person being upset with the fact that you've gone no contact. That's classic narcissistic tactic. If I can't get to you, I'll send someone else to get to you to provoke the confusion, the guilt and the shame that you thought you ran away from. I'm still working in your life. I run rent-free in your head, even in you going no contact. That's why I said, understand the tactics. No, I don't owe you a justification. I don't owe you a rationalization why I chose to do this with this person. And it's not for me to go into my personal business about a choice I made. Several classic things happen when the black sheep or scapegoat leaves the family. The positions shift. Because you've left, there's a disposition that happens in conversations and interactions in that family dynamic. So normally there's an obsession that comes over the narcissistic person when the black sheep and scapegoat leaves. There's an obsession that comes over them. And anyone that has a listening ear, they hear the obsession. They hear the obsession in terms of the guilt tripping that they can no longer do to the black sheep and scapegoat. They hear the intensified obsession. And truthfully, they start operating as the flying monkey or the tired savior. What can I do to alleviate the dominant narcissistic parent or the dominant narcissistic person's problems? Because you gotta understand, the enabler is the fixer for the dominant narcissistic person. That's their fixer, the enabler in the family. They look at them as a saving grace. They're a fixer to their problems. And whatever that means in terms of fixing, listening to them talk about the black sheep and scapegoat, working with them as an ally to come against the black sheep and the scapegoat. Those are things that the enabler often does. They do anything to satisfy that narcissistic dominant person. When the black sheep and scapegoat leaves, there's always a shift in the home environment. Someone becomes the new scapegoat in certain instances, or they continue the roles that they play to come against the black sheep and scapegoat, hoping that they can bait them back into the dynamic. The young lady said, well, I was the golden child, but now I'm the black sheep because the black sheep left. The golden child can become the scapegoat because, again, the dominant narcissistic person has to have someone there to make them feel that they're not the problem. When the black sheep and the scapegoat leaves, the narcissistic parent is secretly convicted, not in them being convicted as they did something wrong, being convicted to the point of, I cannot control this person because they're not here in me achieving the goal of keeping this toxicity going. They feel helpless because you took on all the problems. And when you remove that black sheep and that scapegoat from that dynamic, all exposure takes place in terms of who's been narrating this toxic dynamic. And that's that conviction. They don't want anyone to support the person that they're opposing. Anybody that likes the person that the narcissistic person don't like, they have a problem with. They don't want anyone to like you, especially when they don't like you. So that's why they build the alliances to come against you. And they build alliances with people who have no identity and people who share the same common goal to destroy the person that they don't even like. You're not supposed to be nothing without me. And the fact that you left me and it looks like you're living better than you were when we were here, I'm furious. I'm so upset with you. And to show you, I'm going to gang stalk you. I'm going to humiliate you. I'm going to use all these tactics to come against you.